When it comes to retail offset smokers, there aren't many that are in the same league as the Old Country Brazos. Weighing in at over 400 pounds, this isn't the typical offset you'd find at a big box store. In this video, I'm going to show you all around the Brazos, cook some brisket, pork butt, chicken thighs, ham, and more, and show you everything I can think of to help you decide if this is the right smoker for your backyard. I'm David Gafford, and here at the Barbecue Lab, we test over 70 different cooking appliances per year to help you make educated outdoor cooking buying decisions. The Brazos has been around for many years, and it's primarily known for one thing above everything else: 1/4-inch steel. There's a reason why this thing weighs over 400 pounds, and it's just thick all over. If you're used to the thin wall offset smokers that you see in the big box home improvement stores, this isn't one of those. The Brazos DLX is 72 inches long, and yes, that includes the pull handle, 54 inches high from the bottom of the wheels to the top of the smokestack, and 24 inches in depth from front to back. The DLX weighs in at a hefty 460 pounds, while the standard Brazos comes in at 426 pounds. Now, it's important to note that there are two different models of the Brazos cooker. There's the standard Brazos and the DLX version. Now, there are three main differences between the standard and the DLX. The first is obvious, and that's the huge counterweight that makes opening the door much, much easier than before. The counterweight makes it so that Melissa can lift the door easily, and without it, she probably wouldn't volunteer to cook on this smoker. Now, the second major difference between the two models is that the DLX comes with a tuning plate to even out the temperatures in the cooking chamber. It's a 1/4-inch piece of steel where half is solid and the other half is perforated to gradually let smoke and hot gases through. Now, you can move it all around the cooking chamber if you find that there's any unevenness in your cook. Now, the last add-on you'll find in the DLX is the included ash scraper, which is perfectly designed to fit under the charcoal and wood tray to brush ash right out the firebox door. There are a few things that are worth noting about the Brazos DLX. First, the main grate is a sliding grate with a width of 35 inches and a depth of 17¼ inches. The upper rack is 8 inches deep and 35 inches wide and can be removed if not in use. There's also a cooking grate on the firebox that some would call a cowboy firebox. The top opens to give access to a grate that's 16 inches wide by 17¼ inches deep. Now, it's also a sliding grate and can be completely removed if you're not planning on using it. Now, there are cool touch handles on both the cooking chamber and on the cowboy firebox lid, and I haven't needed gloves or anything else to lift those lids during any of the test cooks so far. There's a folding front shelf below the cooking chamber door that locks in place and is really sturdy once you get it locked in. There's a bottom shelf that's welded, giving you a place for wood splits and charcoal storage. There's a hot plate on top of the firebox that I use to warm wood splits before they get added to the fire. Now, you could also use this to warm a pot of food, but I really like having my wood splits warm so they catch almost immediately when adding them to the firebox. There's a wood and charcoal plate in the firebox that keeps your wood off of the bottom of the firebox, allowing air to get under the fire instead of smoldering on the bottom. Now, if you're interested in the Brazos or any other products we mentioned in this video, be sure to check out the links in the description below. Pricing is always changing, and stick with us because I'm going to give you a way to save $50 on the purchase of this smoker in just a minute. The exhaust stack allows smoke to exit at grate level, and that's a noteworthy addition. One of the other standout features of the Brazos is its 5½ inch diameter signature smoke stack. If you compare this stack against most of the other offsets that are out there on the market, it's much wider and it's much shorter. I always wondered if it would draw air as well as the much taller stacks, and in our testing, I didn't have any problems getting a strong draw across the cooking chamber. Before we talk about all of the cooks that we did on the Brazos DLX during our testing, let's walk through how I set up a fire each time. I started by cleaning out the leftover ash with the ash tool, and I laid down a bed of charcoal using about 20 briquettes to get things started. I would then build a log cabin of wood splits around the charcoal and use my grill gun to light things up. It's by far my favorite way to start a grill, and if you want to try one out, you can save 10% by using the code BBQLAB if you decide to make a purchase. Since this isn't a 500-gallon offset smoker, it's important to note that the size of wood splits I'm using here aren't very large. I use the kindling cracker to cut my splits down so that they catch much more quickly to get the pit up to temperature faster. I leave the door cracked open during startup to give the fire as much oxygen as it needs to get going, and after about a half hour, the Brazos is ready to get cooking. So it's time for the question of the day. If you've ever cooked on an offset smoker, what's your best tip to help someone who's just starting out? What's something that you could tell a beginner that would help them cut down their learning curve so they could find success faster? Let me know down in the comments below, and let's show a little barbecue love today. The first cook we tackled on the Brazos DLX was the Easter ham for our family. Since around 95% of the hams that we buy in America are already cooked, we were really just double smoking and reheating this ham, but boy, was it delicious. I ran the Brazos between 225 and 250 degrees Fahrenheit. I added a brown sugar, honey, and bourbon glaze during the last hour, and it's easily one of the best Easter hams I've made in recent years. A few days later, we were having about 30 people over for a taco and nacho bar, and pulled brisket and pork sounded like a good time. A simple salt and pepper brisket with a pork butt seasoned with a Mexican spice blend was easy to manage on the Brazos. The cook lasted about 8 hours before we took the meats off to braise. Now the color when we pulled them off was exactly what I would expect from a wood-burning offset smoker, and since when we wrap to braise, there isn't any more smoke being added as flavor, the oven handled the rest of the cook, and taco night was so much fun with friends. By the way, if you're getting value out of this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more videos just like this. Next, we picked up a couple of packages of bone-in chicken thighs from the grocery store. I wanted to have some pulled chicken on hand, and bone-in chicken thighs are my go-to whenever they're a good price. I ran the Brazos at about 225 for the first 90 minutes to get some good smoke on the meat, and then added enough wood to the fire to kick it up to 325 degrees to render the fat under the skin and crisp it up at the end. Very happy with the end result of this cook. Now, I also wanted to test a recipe in cast iron, so I decided to dust off our smoked Chipotle Chorizo Queso and see how it did. Now, if you want this recipe, you can download it from our website, and I'll leave a link down in the description below. You can just put all of the ingredients into a cast iron pan and get the smoker rolling around 225 to 250 degrees for about 45 minutes. At the 45-minute mark, I stir things together as they begin to melt, and then another 30 to 60 minutes in the smoke and it's ready for company. I smoked this with cherry wood, and I could taste the smoke in every bite, setting it apart from when we just make this recipe on the stove. Just absolutely delicious. Now, it wouldn't be a review of the Brazos if I didn't address some of the oddities and opportunities with this grill. Now, the first thing is there's currently no way to hang a drip bucket on the main chamber drain, and that was weird for me. I tried to put a half pan underneath the drain for my first cook, but the wind blew my drippings all over the patio, and my dog found the drip pan, which he thought was delicious. I bought a 1 1/4 inch ball valve since the drain is threaded, and it has solved the dripping issue. Now, I'd like to see a bucket hook installed in the next round of cookers, but until then, a ball valve is a great solution for grease management. Now, when it comes to thermometers, there are no thermometers included, but you can buy them separately. Now, I put a 4-inch thermometer in mine right in the center slot of the cooking chamber. Now, it's also important to note that the firebox door is hot when the pit is lit, so heat gloves are really a necessity if you're going to be adding wood through the end door. Now, it's not an issue if you take out the firebox grate and add wood directly through the top, but there's no cool touch handle on the end door, so always use hand protection. When it comes to the Brazos, my experience is also that smoke leaks from everywhere. I get it out of the firebox door and the cooking chamber door throughout all of my cooks. Now, I could stop any smoke leakage with a gasket and high-temp Permatex installed around all of the doors, but I'm actually okay with some smoke leaking on my offsets. I didn't have any noticeable loss of smoke flavor in any of the meats I cooked, But if this was going to be my primary smoker for years to come, I would invest in a good gasket seal and high temperature Permatex to seal things up. I'll be sure to link to those down in the description below, as well as a link to where you can buy the Brazos. Now, the Brazos can be found in a variety of stores like Buc-ee's and Academy, but the places where your purchase will support our channel can be found linked in the description below, along with a discount code to save $50 on your purchase. So if you appreciate the information we shared today, you can show us some love by purchasing through one of those links, since that's how we keep this content coming to help you make the best buying decisions for your ultimate backyard experience. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on the Barbecue Lab.